The recent events surrounding Jason Morgan's arrest by the WSB and Rocco Falconeri's involvement in the shooting of Ross Cullum have created an incredibly volatile situation in Port Charles. Okay, so I've been thinking about this, and the whole Rocco dynamic is actually kind of destroying my brain right now. Like, I'm trying to process the sheer weight of what's happening with Danny and Rocco and Jason, and my thoughts keep going in circles. Basically, poor Rocco is carrying this massive, crushing secret, and it's just a matter of time before he completely bursts. Wait, actually, let me back up because I need to look at the whole picture first to even make sense of it. Jason Morgan has been disappeared by the WSB. He's just gone, hauled off in a transport van, and he's taking the fall for a crime he didn't commit. I mean, that is classic Jason Morgan behavior, obviously, but the fact that Rocco was the one who really shot Ross Cullum, that changes the entire psychological landscape of the show. It's not just mob retaliation or mercenary stuff anymore. It's a literal teenager's life and freedom on the line. I keep replaying that scene on Pier 55 inches my head. Cullum had the upper hand, Britt Westbourne was knocked unconscious, and Jason was about to take a fatal blow. Rocco didn't plan to be a hero, or maybe he did? I mean, not exactly, but kind of? He was just following Britt, probably trying to figure out what kind of danger she was in, and suddenly he's holding a gun and pulling the trigger to save Jason's life. The trauma of that alone is staggering. But then Jason, in a split second, decides to take the blame. He looks at this kid, Dante and Lulu's kid, and just decides his own freedom is worth sacrificing. And Nathan West arrives and immediately goes along with it. It's weird. Like, really weird. The whole thing is just weird when you think about the legal and moral implications. Jason is protecting Rocco, but in doing so, he is absolutely destroying his own son, Danny. Which brings me to Danny Morgan, who is currently distraught over seeing his dad taken away in a WSB van. I think it was episode 12, or maybe the Friday cliffhanger? Somewhere around there, we saw Danny just completely break down as that van drove away. Danny has already lost his dad so many times, either to presumed deaths or memory mapping or whatever else, and now he's watching him get dragged into federal custody for shooting the director of the WSB. But here is what's bugging me. Danny doesn't buy it. He told Charlotte Cassadine on the footbridge that he feels like Jason is covering for someone. Danny knows his dad is a professional. Jason doesn't just shoot a federal agent in the back and get caught slipping. Danny's instincts are screaming that this is a cover-up, and he is 100% right. But the tragedy is that Danny is hunting for the real shooter, completely unaware that he is hunting Rocco. And Rocco is just falling apart because he cannot tell Danny or Charlotte that Jason confessed to the shooting to save him. The guilt he feels is immeasurable. Imagine being a teenager, watching your friend cry over his father being sent to a black site, and knowing that it is entirely your fault. Rocco wants to get it off his chest, like desperately. You can see it in his micro-expressions every time Danny talks about Jason. But he can't. Lulu and Nathan know that Rocco shot Cullum, but they have sworn him to strict secrecy. Nathan basically threatened him to keep his mouth shut, telling Lulu that if she does exactly as he asks, no one will ever have to know. But then again, that doesn't explain why Nathan is being so cold about it. Actually, no. First, I should mention that Nathan is secretly managing this cover-up from inside the PCPD, which is incredibly risky, or maybe not. I don't know. Nathan might have his own agenda, especially with those mysterious texts he's getting from Jen Sidwell. Probably doesn't matter, but I noticed Nathan looked almost too calm when he told Rocco to stay quiet. Anyway, the point is... Wait, what was the point? Oh, right, Rocco is trying very hard to abide by Lulu and Nathan's rules because he could end up in federal prison if the truth comes out, but it isn't easy for him. He is a kid with a conscience. And he is living in a pressure cooker, especially because Charlotte Cassadine is beginning to suspect that something is up with her brother. Well, stepbrother? Family tree stuff in Port Charles is always a mess, but the timeline says Charlotte lives under the same roof as the real shooter, so they are constantly in each other's orbit. Charlotte is not your average teenager. She has been trained by Valentine Cassadine to sense trouble from a mile away. She is observant, she is calculating, and she is fiercely loyal. If Charlotte starts questioning Rocco, it probably won't take much pushing for him to spill the beans. He wants to confess. They are the people closest to him. Okay, wait. Let me analyze Charlotte for a second, because her psychology is fascinating here. Charlotte is definitely the brains behind any operation the three teens take on. She agreed with Danny's hunch that Jason is covering for someone, and she is already snooping. Valentine taught her how to read people, how to look for tells. Rocco is practically radiating guilt. Once Charlotte corners him and she will corner him, Rocco is going to crack. And once they all know the truth, it wouldn't be surprising for Charlotte to come up with a plan to find Jason. She has learned from the best. I mean, we are talking about a potential Teens on the Run storyline here. It gives me major nostalgic vibes, comparing it to old school GH teen adventures, like when Robin and Stone or the original teen scene used to get into massive trouble, but the stakes here are so much higher. They aren't dealing with local mobsters, they are dealing with Ross Cullum and the WSB. Speaking of Cullum, I need to bring up the fact that he is currently drifting in and out of consciousness in the GHICU. Lucas Jones saved his life, completely unaware that Cullum is the one who murdered Marco Rios, and Jocelyn Jacks just tried to assassinate Cullum in his hospital bed. Okay, I know I just said the opposite about the teens being the ones in danger, but hear me out. Jocelyn is technically a young adult, but she is operating with WSB training from Jack Brennan, and she was ready to inject Cullum with a lethal dose before Lucas walked in. Cullum opened his eyes and looked right at her. If Cullum remembers who shot him on the pier, he is going to use that information. He will probably blame Jason to keep him locked up, and then secretly hunt down Rocco himself. The danger Rocco is in is astronomical. If the teens go on a rescue mission, they are walking right into Cullum's crosshairs. But then there is the adult parallel storyline, which is equally messy. Valentine and Carly also want to save Jason from the WSB. Carly is frantic about losing her bestie and will do anything to get him back. She is currently hiding Valentine in her attic, which is a whole other level of crazy. Valentine is a fugitive, but he was WSB, so he knows their secrets and how they operate. He knows the protocols, the black sites, the extraction methods. Carly and Valentine are plotting to use his Swiss connections to exonerate Jason or break him out. They would not want the kids in danger, obviously, but when has that stopped anyone in Port Charles? The adults are always trying to protect the kids, and the kids always end up in the middle of the crossfire anyway. It's weird. Like, really weird how parallel these two groups are. You have Danny, Charlotte, and Rocco trying to uncover the truth and fix the injustice, and you have Carly and Valentine trying to do the exact same thing from the attic. What happens when these two operations collide? Valentine has trained Charlotte to be just like him, so it stands to reason that Charlotte's plan might actually mirror Valentine's, or maybe they will interfere with each other. I keep thinking about how Jack Brennan told Carly that Jason is likely never coming home. Brennan is pragmatic. If Brennan thinks Jason is gone for good, the security holding him must be impenetrable. But Valentine doesn't believe in impenetrable, and neither does Charlotte. Actually, let's talk about the Jen Sidwell factor for a second. Sidwell is blackmailing Jordan, he's got Willow drugging Drew, and he is out for blood over Marco's death. Cullum works for Sidwell, or at least they are tangled up in this cold fusion prototype mess with Britt. If the teens decide to go after Cullum to clear Jason's name, they are going to inadvertently expose Sidwell's entire operation. This crew, Danny, Charlotte, and Rocco, may actually be the ones to bring down Cullum and Sidwell's operation and save Jason. I mean, think about the poetic justice of it. Rocco started this whole chain of events by pulling the trigger to save Jason. It makes narrative sense for Rocco, alongside Danny and Charlotte, to be the ones who finish it. But then again, that doesn't explain how they are going to physically pull it off. They are teenagers. Cullum is a highly trained, highly lethal WSB director who just stabbed Marco Rios to death without blinking. If Cullum figures out that Rocco is the real shooter, he won't hesitate to eliminate him. And if Charlotte and Danny put themselves in the line of fire to protect Rocco, we could be looking at a massive hostage situation. I think it was episode 15 where Cullum warned Britt that he would kill anyone who got in his way, or maybe it was earlier. Regardless, the threat level is off the charts. I keep second-guessing myself on whether Rocco will actually confess to Danny. On one hand, the guilt is eating him alive, and Danny is his friend. On the other hand, Lulu and Nathan have terrified him into silence. Lulu is operating out of pure maternal panic. She knows that if the WSB finds out Rocco shot their director, they won't care that he is a minor or that he was defending someone. They will lock him away. But Nathan's involvement is what really makes me suspicious. Nathan is playing this very close to the vest. He dismissed Felicia's concerns, he is managing the cover-up, and he is getting burner texts. If Nathan is actually Sidwell's mole, then Nathan keeping Rocco quiet isn't about protecting Rocco, it's about controlling the narrative for Sidwell. Wait, if Nathan is dirty, then Rocco's confession to the teens could trigger Nathan to take action against them. Oh my god, the layers to this are insane! Anyway, the point is, I really think Rocco is going to break. You can only push a kid so far before the psychological dam bursts. Charlotte is going to ask the right question or look at him the right way, and Rocco is just going to start sobbing and spill everything. And once Danny knows that his dad sacrificed himself for Rocco, Danny isn't going to be mad at Rocco. Danny is going to be mad at the system, and he's going to be determined to save his dad. The three of them banding together for a rescue mission feels almost inevitable at this point. They have the legacy of the Spencers, the Cassidines, and the Morgans running through their veins. They are literally built for this kind of chaos. Okay, I know I just said they are going to save the day, but I am also terrified for them. Valentine and Carly need to figure out what the kids are doing before it's too late. If Carly finds out Jocelyn was in Cullum's room and that Danny is hunting the shooter, she is going to lose her mind. The collision course between the teens' investigation, Carly and Valentine's extraction plan, and Cullum's waking wrath in the ICU is going to be the most explosive storyline of the year. I just hope Rocco survives the emotional fallout. The whole thing is just... wow. I need to stop overthinking this, but I can't. It's just too good.